What's up, everybody, and welcome to Python 6th tutorial by Morex, the coder. So let's quickly discuss what we'll be covering in this video, and we'll get started. So in this video, I am gonna discuss a different data sequence. Before we discussed about list, I think it was the previous video. In this video we're going to discuss a dictionary and some tricks on how you can play or how you can get the data from a dictionary any way you want, and also introduce looping through the data from your dictionary. Then I am gonna discuss the application of all this. So basically, the looping, getting a list of keys, getting a list of values from your dictionary. This will all be covered in the application where we are actually implementing it in code. Cool. So the first question that one gets to have is what is a dictionary, right? So a dictionary is a collection of key value pairs where each key is associated with a value. So think of this like a student, right? You're a student, and your teachers wanna group your marks, right? So say if you just write a test, this is just for this one test. Let's just start from there, right? Just this one test. So the key would preferably be your name, then the key associated to it is your mark. So basically, if I was to write a program and I input your name, I should get the mark associated with you or with your name. So basically, if I say it's Morex, there's Coda, and then there's what day, or let me just say this Peter, Morex, and John, right? If I type John, okay, if I write a program that gives me the mark of the people or the students within that test, whenever I type their name, I will get the mark associated with their names. I will show you that, and I think I'll create a small program at the end. Yeah, I think that might be good. Yeah, I'll create a small program at the end. If I don't do it in this video, then I will do it when we do problem solving, where we get to just improve our concepts that we've learned. Because learning the concepts theoretically and not knowing how to apply that in real life is not a way to learn. Okay, cool. Let's look at the syntax, right? So a dictionary, you're gonna start with the dictionary name. Now, the name follows the same rules as you have previously from my very first video when we discussed about variables. It didn't seem like a thing that you're gonna be stuck with, but I did mention that that's the most fundamental concept in your programming, because you have variables that holds values that you use. So understanding a variable is very crucial. If you forgot about that, just go revise. If you didn't watch the first video, I highly recommend that you go and watch that video, especially the variable part, because you just need the variable understanding from that first video. And then I think you might need to watch the whole of it, because you do need how to print, unless if you know all that, then yeah, you're fine. Cool. So this is a dictionary, right? You have a dictionary name, and then you have an assignment operator. We've discussed about that and what an assignment operator does, but just to recap, an assignment operator stores a value to a dictionary, no, not to a variable, not a dictionary. So in this case, this is storing a value to a dictionary. Now the new things that we have in this part is this part. So you see, we start with the curly bracket, right? And then I have k1 and value1 and then a comma, right? So basically the syntax, or the way that I want to explain the syntax, is that I wanna explain how you can actually create a dictionary with the values or items in it, or you can create it before without. If you wanna create an empty dictionary, you just have empty curly bracket opening and closing, and that's it. We'll talk about that in the application side. So in this case, I'm creating a dictionary with two items, right? The first item has key 1 and key 2. The second item has key 2 and value 2. I meant, did I say key 1 and key 1, or key 1 value 1 previously? But you do understand the pairing, right? It's a key value pair. You have a key that is associated with the certain value. Okay, cool. So you have your key value, right? That's your key 1. It can be of any data type. We've discussed data types. This also takes us back to the very first video. You can have any data type. I can have a key 1 associated with the list. That was where I was going to when I said that say you have different marks for different tests, and I can write a program that specifically gives me the mark that I want. The other thing that I also want to say is that you have different data types. A dictionary it's a data type as well, which falls under the sequence type, right? You remember previously we spoke about numeric, we spoke about text types, boolean types, right? So this one is falling under sequence along with the list that we discussed previously. It falls under a list type. And just as you've known with a list, you can create a list that has items of its type. Just like a dictionary, you can create a dictionary within a dictionary, just as you did creating a list within a list. So that's the first item. And then you have the second item, which has the second key and the second value. You can have a comma and then have key 3 and so on and so on. So basically you can create a dictionary. You can also create a dictionary from the user input. I don't know if we're gonna be able to do that in this video, because I want to emphasize understanding of the concept. Then the application gets to be done more by you, so that you get comfortable with the concept and you also fully explore that, you fully understand the concept. Cool. Let's just discuss some few things about the dictionary, right? So accessing values, you can access the values, right? But how do you access those values? Using keys. This is where we get to the part where, if we are going with this example that we have, where you have students who wrote a test, you have their names and the marks associated with that test. Their names, that's the keys. The marks they got, those are the values. So how do I access the marks related to this specific student? Right? So what you're gonna do is, the syntax is that you're gonna have your dictionary name, the dictionary that you created, then the name of the student. In this case, this is just a key name, but if we are applying it to our small example we're working with, that's the name of the student. These will return the value associated with key name. If we are applying it or interpreting it with the example that we have, this will return the mark that is associated with the student of this name or that name. I hope this makes sense. Cool. Now let's discuss something else, right? So that's just you getting a specific value. So you're just getting one value, right? Cool. So what if you want to get a list of all those values? So basically you're getting all the marks in the room. You're getting all the marks, right? So you can use a method called values. So just like a list, a dictionary does have methods as well, and you might also want to go and improve that. Is I know you're also improving on the methods you know from our list, because you need those methods in order for you to be able to do whatever application you want to do. So if you want to get a list of all values in your dictionary, you can just use dot values method. And then how do you get a list of keys? Because you must be able to also get a list of all keys, right? So this helps you in terms of knowing who wrote and who didn't write. You see how the whole thing works. I know for now it might not be making sense because you haven't really seen a dictionary in action, or okay, if you're a pure beginner, I'm talking about someone who's just a pure beginner. And what it is, we're going to get to the application. So once you get to the application and you get to revise or go through what we are discussing now or what I'm discussing now, it will make sense. Cool. So same thing, just a dictionary name dot and then keys. It will give you the list of all um, keys, right? But yes, but now we want something, right? Instead of getting each of these individual keys and value, how do I get all of the key pair from my dictionary? Is there a method? And yes, there is a method. You know, when you define a dictionary or a list, inside you have elements or items, right? In a dictionary, the items are considered as a key pair value, right? Cool. So to get all of the key pair items in your list, you just use, no, in your dictionary I meant, you just use dot items. That's the method that you use to access all of those. I do hope you managed to follow through, and if you are still confused, don't be confused. I'm gonna show you the application, and then you're gonna go and practice and practice and practice. As I've mentioned before, practice makes or brings about improvement. So you don't give up, just keep working and working and working. Cool. Let's head over to our terminal or mkdir Python tutorial 6. What did I do? We did that. I was wondering if I did something wrong. Me and my terminal mkdir make directory. That's perfect. Because I saw that my command was fine. But cool. Anyways, we cannot always be perfect, though you know you are bound to make a mistake one way or the other. And that's what we call living. Cool. So we have a directory with no files, and I'm just gonna use my Vim, and we are dealing with d.py dictionary, right? Or let me just it all up, though I'm lazy, but yeah, cool. There we go. It's a dictionary, right? Previously we spoke about a main method. We introduced a main method. That's where our program starts, right? So the way to explain this, let's just do it inside a main. But besides, no, let's not do it that, because we're explaining a concept which becomes part of a big program, right? Let's just do it in a more normal way, because the emphasis is not for the previous concepts. You mastered the previous concepts, right? The emphasis is just this new tool that we're creating. Then you advance that and connect that with what you already know, because you know that your program has to have a function. If it's a long or large project with certain actions which you just want to repeat all the time without you repeating the code, but just using a function that has the action that you want, you can just use that. But we're not going to do that here. So the first thing is to define a dictionary, right? So I'm going to have students Cool. That's the name of the dictionary, right? Let me say student list, or no, student details. There we go. And then this dictionary is just gonna have their names and the marks associated with their names, right? And I will just use the examples we have there. And then once you're done, that's of a data type, right? That's of a string data type, and then it's a colon. Then you can have a space, so you cannot have a space. Let me just have a space, and then I provide the mark. Let's say I got 15%. Yeah, it was a challenging test, and yeah, I got 15%. And then there's this guy called Peter, right? Now this guy comes in and get 98%. Cool. And then there's John. Yeah, John was just doing his things, and unfortunately he got a zero, right? And if you're watching this video and your name is John or Peter, this is not referring to you, but someone who's named the same name as you, because you are a smart person that you're here. John, Peter. As for me, Rex, I'm not really that much of a smart person. I'm more of a hard worker, as I always say. But yeah, I know people will be like, nope, that's not the case, but that is the case. Cool. So we have defined the dictionary, right? So the first thing, how do I access the values? How do I accessing a value? My I'm used to coding with this Java. I forgot that this is Python. So accessing a value from a dictionary. Cool. So initializing a dictionary, this is just the initialization of that dictionary following the format I used, right? I tried to make it a bit more of a general format, but this was the easiest way I could actually do it. Initializing a dictionary that is empty, that but the challenge gets to be, how do you add items to that dictionary, right? Cool. So what we have is we have students, and then we have Peter, right? So how do we get access to the mark? See, you want to see my 15%. So as mentioned, or as per slides, you use the dictionary name. Let's print this out actually, so that we get to see if we're getting the mark that we want. Student details, right? And then you have square brackets, open and closing. Previously we used to just use index for a list, right? It's just a number from zero. Zero is the first item, right? This time around we're not using that, but we are using the key. So we already know what key we want, and then you'll begin to see why dictionaries, why learn dictionaries, right? So if I type in Murex, right, and then I save my file, right? So it's dictionary. Let me just copy this name file, and I quickly compile it on my new tab. Python 3. Ooh, there we go. Can open dictionary dot. Because we don't have it there, right? So we must go cd, and then we go to Python. Python 6. There we go, and we can run our command. So name is now student details. Did I mess up the names? Oh yeah, I messed up the names there. There we go. And everybody keep asking me as to how do I get to a level where you know exactly what you messed up without having anything. So That's where I think I did mention this before when I discussed about coding using a text editor, that it helps you understand code way much better and effectively so than in IDE, because in IDE it will tell you that there's an error there. So basically it shows you where the error is. You get to be like that IDE and put that red line there that there's an error there with your eyes. See how beautiful it is and how powerful it is. But I'm not saying that if you're learning using an IDE, you're on the wrong route. No, get comfortable. But once you get time, or if you truly want to improve yourself or get better at reading code, because myself, I got better at doing this due to also that I was able to just help my peers, like where I'm studying within code. So I used to read their code so that I could help them with maybe a logic error in their code, or maybe they are getting an error somewhere. Because trust me, when you're working with big lists, I normally don't use my Vim when I'm working with a big project, because I have too many files and I can't be opening many tabs. Imagine I have 10 files, I have to open 10 tabs. No, I just use everything, right? So I just go back to my IDE. IDE is just for projects, but in terms of me learning and me improving myself, I use Vim. Just as you see, this is a name error, right? So these are the type of errors you have. And we'll see as we discuss the exemptions thrown by Python, just as this exemption. So you can actually catch this exception, and instead of your code breaking, you actually go and print out a set of message and then decide as to whether how your program should run. But that will be for next week and not this week. So cool, let's rerun the program, and then you will see my 15 is there. If I want the mark for maybe, let's just get the marks for the remaining guys as well. Cool. It's just for safety purposes. So it doesn't allow me to just paste, even though I'm copying from this. As long as it's been copied and pasted from clipboard, it's I have to first authorize that. Cool. John, let's get our marks, and then you'll see that we get all our marks, right? So you can get the value associated with what you know. You know the name of the person. You just want to get their marks. That's it. That's how you access values from a dictionary, or a value. In this case, we'll just accessing just one value, right? One value and one value. Cool. So how do we get values instead of just getting that one value? How do we get values, right? So getting all values, dictionary. Okay, you will see that we have all and from, which are the keywords. We don't want that, so we just do that, and it's just gonna be ignored by Python. So if we say print, and then it's students details, right? And then I say dot, and then I say values, right, as we discussed from the previous slides, right? So this returns a list of all values in my dictionary. Let's print it out, right? Let's print it out, and then you see these are your dictionary values, and that's your list. So are you thinking what I'm thinking? I know you're thinking what I'm thinking. You can iterate through this list, obviously using a for loop, right? Instead of having 3 lines there, you create a for loop, and then you get the values associated. So basically this is just the values. You're not knowing whose name is it. But yeah, that's basically how you can get the values. So the reason why I'm showing you all this is because you have to know the tools, and once you know the tools, you have to improve yourself to a point where you know how to use the tools you have. Cool. Now let's getting all keys from a dictionary, right? So print, there we go, and then students details, right? Dot. Now you want to get the keys, right? As from the syntax from the slides is keys, right? I know when I say keys, it's like I'm talking about the keys. It's not the keys, it's a key. I don't know how to even sound uniquely so. English sometimes, English sometimes just get the best of you. But I'm talking about keys, not the keys. Cool. Let's clear our terminal. Oh, no. We don't want Clara, man. Who's Clara? We want to clear. Cool. Hey, Clara wants to be there. Cool. And then you get a list of all your keys, right? But now, what if you want both of these? You just want to get all of them, right? So that brings us to that topic of getting all items from a dictionary. Cool. Let's just print, and then what we have is students details dot items, and there we go. Let's print out that one. Now you see what happens. It gives you the whole dictionary, right? It gives you all those items. You have, so basically you have a method that brings you whatever items you want. This is the whole complete items, and you can iterate through all these, and I'm going to show you a unique way of iterating. So let's quickly do that just now. Cool. So we're gonna do it applying what we already learned previously. So now we have been introduced to a dictionary, and what is the next step is now try to connect what we have learned previously with what we've just learned now, because we are building and building these concepts. Once you have all these concepts, you can apply these in real world problems. Cool. So let's get started. Get display all values, display values, right? And then I'm gonna have a dictionary called student list, right? So I'm just gonna say 4, and then I say value, right? In student details. I just want to be relevant, because if I talk about a list, I get to confuse some people, or I get to confuse everyone actually, because you're talking about dictionaries, now you're talking about list. Which is it? Details. That's spelled correctly, right? Yeah, it should be. Cool. And then I have this. So you can just say value index, and then the value itself, let's also add this. Cool. So we'll start off with just index is equals to 0, then index plus equals 1, right? And then it's just gonna count And so I'm going to have value 1, value 2, value 3, and so on. So that's my function. Remember, I don't have a dictionary yet, but I'm passing it through the parameter, right? So this function can process any dictionary. You can have different dictionaries that can process any dictionary, but then just be mindful of how I'm printing my stuff here, right? So basically, I'm just converting this to a string because I'm doing string concatenation. I can't add a string and any tagger. It's illegal in Python, right? So I better have everything in string, then I just do string concatenation. Cool. So that's pretty much it about our values, def, display, keys, right? Student details, and then I have index. And one might be asking, why do I have these the same as these? Will these not cause any problems? If you remember from our previous discussion of functions, whatever variable exists there is not doesn't exist outside that function. So these are local variables. We'll talk about types of variables not in the next tutorial. Next tutorial I want to cover the exceptions. Maybe after the next tutorial, then we can have a discussion about types of variables, because you can have a variable that is global. So global just means that it can be accessed anywhere within any function, inside, outside, right? With this one, this is a local variable. It gets valid, or it can only be seen from this function alone. 4, and then we have key in student details, right? Cool, student details. And then we're just gonna have, let me just print this as it is. Cool. But you will realize that in this case we don't really need this, because already it's string, right? Those are the names, students. But the one that is very much interesting is this one, get display key value pairs. Key value pair, display that. Oh, let's not forget our student details, right? So in this case I don't really need the index, because already I know I'm going to have a name associated with that, right? So this is something that I want to discuss first. So basically now we are here, right? Before it was just this list, so that's why I'm just saying 4, and then I have one item. Now you see that I have a list where each item has 2 values, right? So you can unpack that and assign them to a temporary variable. So I can say 4, and then I have a key, then a value. So this is me unpacking that dictionary. I think it's easier to just do it here, right? Python 3, but I'm going to explain the unpacking later on. So I can just have a list. Let me just copy this and create a list of that. Say A is equals to that. That's my list, right? And then I provide X, comma, Y, and then I say is equals to A, first item. What did I just do? So basically with this, what I did is I assigned more X to X and 15 to Y. Let's see this. Print X. X is more X. Print Y. Y is 15. That's unpacking. So basically your key gets to be assigned to that to X, and then Y gets to be assigned to your mark, or the mark of the student, precisely. So in my list, which I have, so basically I have that, right? So basically, with the list you get these, right? And then it does that continuously. So it starts from 0, then 1, 2, and so on. That's what's happening there. I'm assigning my key value, my key, then my value from what? My student. And you will see that we've been making a mistake. We are providing a dictionary, right? But we're not providing what we're getting, because you see the example I made here. It's making use of this, so I have to make sure that applied to items, dot keys, and dot values. Some of you guys might have seen that I was making a mistake, and it was a live class. I'm gonna be like, say, isn't it that supposed to have dot values, dot keys, and all that? Let's just quickly fix that. Dot keys and dot values. Cool. There we go, and we have that. Let's just format this print. So we're gonna have the key associated. So we can just do this, associated with a value, and then its value. The other thing you can just do there is just say mark maybe, but nah, let's just leave it like that. Cool. That's pretty much it, and then we discuss our main method now. So our main method, that's where we're going to be running all those functions. Remember, a function is just a block of code that gets to be executed upon being called. So this is name, main. Cool. And then what we have there, we're gonna have a dictionary, so we don't have to really define it the same name. We can have a say, as long as you're passing a dictionary from your function, as long as it's of type dictionary, it's fine. Cool. Student details, and then I have an empty, right? Cool. So let's say I want to create a dictionary using a for loop, right? Or a while loop is basic, to be precise. Okay, let's just use a while loop. While, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create, so this is student details, and then you saw how to access a key, right? I'm just gonna use an input enter a student name. Cool. And then I assign the value, and the value is gonna be a mark, right? And then input I hope this makes sense. Let me try unzooming so that we get to have a clear, yeah, this gets to be clear. So that's that. I think let's just use a for loop, and then we just run for I in range. We just run this 3 times. There we go. Now you see how we're applying the input and output and where I've placed them. One would be confused as to how is this happening. Okay, let's see if this is gonna run. Let's not get too excited without compiling the code. Exit. So I did teach you about this shell from the beginning, right? You do remember that. So there was a reason why I even showed you that shell. You see, a shell, you use it for quick reference if you have a specific idea, right? And then you want to see how it works. So you can just open your shell and yeah, fire it up and test it out. Oh, what if I do this? If I do this, is this just the way that I explained how unpacking works? Cool. So let's run this. So it says enter a mark. Why am I entering the mark first? Because I have to enter the name first. Let's just do this then, because this is not gonna be right. So let's just say student. Okay, let me just run it first, and then the name. Oh, this one is gonna want the mark first, then the name. Wow. Okay, I never really thought of this, but yeah, it's better than just creating by just creating all that. So it's much better than just creating variables, right? So in this case, you just get to store the value as it is instead of just creating variables. Cool. Let me explain this before actually going further, because I know this might be way overwhelming for many people. So this is a function that displays values in a dictionary. What gets passed as a parameter is a dictionary that you're gonna create. It can be any dictionary. You can have multiple dictionaries in your program and process them anyhow. And then this is my counter is just gonna count. And then I have a for loop. And then this is giving me a list of values, and then I'm just iterating through that values. Get the first value, assign it there, second value, and so on. Same thing with keys. You're doing the very same thing, right? You're getting a dictionary, and then you have your counter, right? Your counter variable, and then you have your key in that list. So you're getting items from that list, and then you're displaying them using this format. And I don't know why I have value there, or because I copied. It's a good thing I revised this, because we were gonna get errors. And you might be wondering, why haven't we getting errors anymore? Is because a function only runs when it's called, so it didn't get called, so Python didn't get to interpret that function at all. There we go, right? Then you have your list. Are we gonna talk about that sequence that gets created when you are so it's a list? You already know about the list. Inside that list, that item is a different sequence type. We'll talk about that in future videos as well. And then here I'm just printing my key value along with it. No, I'm printing my key along with the value, right? I think the function side is chilled, but the main function part is where everything is not so friendly. But let me explain. So you create a dictionary which is empty, right? And then you're using a for loop. So basically this is just you specifying how many students details you want to record, and then you create, that's your dictionary name, right? This is your key value, but since this key doesn't exist, you want to create it. If you just use it like this without this part, you will get an error, and this is because you're trying to access a dictionary, a key that is not available in your dictionary. From a list, if you use the wrong indexing, you get to have what? A out of index error. Cool. So this is you getting the key, or that's the name. You create that key and you associate that with the mark. So when my code runs, it first reads from there, and then it comes there. Let's just leave it there for now. Let's just leave it as it is for now. Cool. So that's what we're doing. After that, I think yeah, we'll get to apply our functions, right? Cool. So let's run our program. So first mark, right? If we just okay, let's just do it right. Say a person got 60%. The name is Morex. Okay, he was marked on this test, and then second time around is 80, and this guy is C alone, right? Third one is 100. Who do we use? Isaac. Isaac. I wanted to say Einstein, but I remember the spelling might be bad. Cool. That's you. So this is you creating a dictionary. So it created a dictionary already. So now all that's left is for us to just call the functions that already does or process our dictionary. Cool. So let's enter this mode. Then let's display values. To do that, I'm just gonna go call this function and just go copy as it is and paste it there. Since it's student details, it's fine. So but this name can be okay, that cannot be any name. This can be any name. So the reason why this cannot be any name is because if I say I'm giving it a name that is not of a dictionary type, that will be a problem. But in your function parameter, the parameter name can be anything, because that parameter, basically what's happening is that this argument gets to be a value that is assigned to your parameter. Cool. So if I run this, let's repeat the same thing, right? Rex, and then we have 80 alone, we have 100 Isaac, right? You see what happens? The function does what it's supposed to do. It prints the values, and the values are the marks in this case, and it counts mark 1, value 2, value 3. That's what your program is doing. Let's quickly just call the other two and be done. So coolness. Display keys, right? So I'm just gonna call the function as it is. There we go. And then we're just gonna go for the items, right? Display items. There we go. And then we're just gonna call this function as it is. So the beauty of this one is I don't have to change the names of the arguments I'm passing to my function, because everything is set. Oh no, let's not rush first, because I want this. Then that way, I think we can also make it nicer by just mentioning something. These are values, right? There we go. Just anywhere there, keys, and yeah, I think this is it, and let's clear that and let's run. So it's 80 more x, 90 alone, 197 Isaac. See what's happening? Each function does what it's supposed to do, right? So the first one gives you the values, and that's that. Let's get it end line so that we can separate all of them to see what each function is doing. So the value function gives you the values, the key function gives you the function, and we'll see something there that is not right. You see, I indexed it to 0, but I was not increasing it, so that's why it's not improving. So we just have to go there, that, and everything will be sorted. But yeah, if I run that, everything is gonna run perfectly fine. I just do that when I close, but I'm just explaining for now, right? So that's your okay. Actually, let me just rerun this to make it more nicer. 98. Yeah. And then I have a 64 Isaac. Cool. So now we have proper, yeah, we have a proper outcome, right? So this part, I'm creating my dictionary from the user input. Then I have the values, right? So this is value 1 and the mark, value 2 and the mark, value 3 and the mark. And then I have keys, right? This is value 1 mark and the mark, right? No, this is just the key. So this is the name. This is the name. This is the name. The name. Cool. And then I have my key, my value key pair there. So this is this, which is that. This is this. This is that. This is this. This is that. Cool. I hope this was not really that much overwhelming, but if it was, do take your time to watch this video over and over again so that you fully understand the concept which is covered now, because this is one of the data sequence that helps you a lot in terms of information. For instance, if you want to connect points, you can do that with the dictionary, because you just have to specify where, just so you specify the points, so you can define that, okay, cool, I'm going to start from this point to this point to this point. So you can actually do a lot with a dictionary. With the list is hard, because if I had names and marks, how was I going to pair the two to know which one is which one, which one is which one? So you see that a list gets to be limited in terms of what you can use with it or what you can do with it, but you can still use it in part of this dictionary. That's why you have dictionaries. That's it for me, guys, and I shall see you guys next week, Monday.